Hey everyone, Michael here from stevesdgcams.com with our first test of the Nikon Z7 autofocus system. Now the Z7 is the first full-frame Nikon camera to feature on-sensor phase detection. To adjust autofocus areas or select your autofocus modes on the Z7, there's two ways to do it. You can either tap the I, which is on the back of the camera, and use the touchscreen interface of the joystick to navigate and select what you want, or you can press and hold the function 2 button, which is on the front of the camera, and if you press and hold that, you can use the Z7's rear dial to adjust autofocus modes and the front dial to adjust the autofocus areas. For our first test, we're using native Z-mount glass, so the 24-70 f4S kit lens, and we set the camera to auto area AF with full-time AF engaged. As you can see, moving towards the camera and moving away from the camera and in and out of frame, the Z7 found my face and generally produces very pleasing results. Face detection, of course, working quite well until about 20 or 30 feet away, in which case it would either lose it or switch to body detection. For this next test, we're using single point autofocus with full-time AF engaged to see how the camera would do if you just wanted to, set a center focal point. So in this particular case, walking towards the camera or away from the camera, as long as I was in that AF point, it tracked me no problem. And jumping in and out of frame, the camera was able to jump from the far background to whatever entered the frame and touch that focus point with no issues at all. Generally speaking, the results are very pleasing and the autofocus transitions with the native glass are very smooth. So in this test, I'm hand holding the lens at a full 200 millimeters. We set the camera to auto area AF, full-time AF, and then I tapped on the touchscreen of the face of my subject, and not only does the in-lens and in-body vibration reduction work really well, this is really smooth for handheld at 200 millimeters, but the Z7 has no trouble tracking a moving subject walking towards the camera. I thought it worked great. However, you'll see here, when using the touchscreen to change the autofocus points using that same 70 to 200, the rack focus is a little jumpy. It's a little too quick for my liking. Even though you can go into the Z7 menu, you can slow down, you can change those settings, you can you can adjust the tracking, and you can adjust the transition times in the menu. Still, even on its slowest settings, it was very fast with this particular lens. The Z7 AF system also struggles in low lighting. I'm talking near dark. We're here inside the Team Labs Planets Tokyo art installation, which is amazing. You have to check that out. We're using the Nikon Z 35mm f1.8, and it was kind of having a hard time because the lights were going on, they were coming off, and it had a little bit of a challenge tracking in air. And then also you can see that the auto tracking, the face tracking with multiple subjects kind of trips it up as well. There's some other settings you can play with in the menu, of course, but with 4 moving subjects all wearing the same thing. And again, this is Samurai artist Kamui, and they worked on Quentin Tarantino's Kill Bill movies, but with 4 moving subjects, it just proved a little bit too much. But with a situation like this, you probably want to go to manual focus anyway, but still, it was interesting to try it out. So what can we conclude from this first test? Well, in my opinion at least, the Nikon Z7 is easily the best Nikon video camera that they've ever made, as it features a speedy, accurate autofocus system that will track moving subjects. It will find the background. There's not too much hunting and searching. It's very smooth, it's very quiet. So overall, we're very impressed. But I would also say that it's not quite as good as Canon's dual pixel AF, or especially when you're using Sony's eye autofocus modes, which is a touch more precise, especially when you're dealing with shallow depth of field. We did have some scenarios where in shooting pictures using that 35mm f1.8, where they're using face detection and it focused on the nose as opposed to the eyes. But for most conditions, it's going to be neck and neck, to be honest. The one thing to keep in mind, though, is that when using the FTZ adapter, all of the lenses work perfectly. There's no problem achieving focus. Everything's fast. Everything works as it is. But if you're trying to record audio into the camera body itself, those older lenses, you're going to hear they're a little bit louder than the new native Z-mount glass. So that's one thing to consider, that you probably need to do an external recorder so that way you don't hear the clicking of the servos and everything inside the older F-mount lenses. But overall, Nikon did a great job here. They're finally within league in most conditions with Canon and Sony's AF systems for video. And in my opinion, I think they're doing better than what Panasonic and Olympus are doing. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please stay tuned for more coverage with the Nikon Z7, the upcoming Z6, and the Canon EOS R, and a few other cameras that we'll be covering here at stevesdigicams.com. Thank you so much.